Okay, what you are seeing here is the Earth, and it is a globe, and it's round, and you can see it from space, so it's spinning like this in that direction. All right, the space station is going around the Earth in this direction, like that. All right, when it's behind the Earth, it can't see the sun. The sun skips by this way. They're in the darkness, and this is what we have here. Columbia, which is the space station, is in the darkness. They're coming around into the sun, but they're still in the darkness, and they're seeing these particles glowing everywhere because they are out here in the sun. So they have to be out here. They can't be right attached to them, basically, because they would not be in the sun either. So they have to be not attached to them, or they have to be a little ways out. Now, what kind of particles are we going to see? What are they made of? These are particles. Those are not sunlight, because the sunlight's not hitting it. But once they come out into the bright sunlight, you're going to see a whole different situation. And that it just keeps going around and around and around. All of a sudden, they're out in the sunlight. And like I said, whole different situation. Don't forget, that thing there is 12 miles long. What this is a wire. This like a 5 millimeters wide, something like that. I forget what it is. It's 5 centimeters. That's 5 centimeters. And you look at it here, it's a mile wide signature. It's collected so much white energy that it just exploded eventually. Because all it wants to do is be attached that white to the black. And there's not a whole lot of black laying around out here. But you will see some white ones pulsing like this because the black ones are trying to grab a hold of it. Okay, I'm just going to play this. This is from NACON, and it's about the Tether Incident. And it was they ran this wire to a satellite, and it's 12 miles long. Now I'm just going to let it play, and we'll listen to what he has to say. This is in 1996. All right, so here we go. The crew can see the tether and see the satellite it's attached to. So I believe this is the satellite, and this is the tether that is only like 5 centimeters wide, and it's giving off a signature of a mile wide. And they say, "Wow, we never expected that." You see all these particles? They're just slowly moving around. They are out in the vicinity where that is. All right, let me just explain something. They're lit up. That means the sun's hitting them. Hello. All right, here's what you got to remember: is the space station is behind the Earth, and it's going much faster than the Earth. So it's coming back around here, and it's going to go around the Earth. Maybe the Earth goes once, it goes 3 times. I don't know. Let's just say it's going much faster than the Earth. So it comes out from behind here, and before it gets to here, you can see all these particles, and you can see the tether, which is in the sunlight. And then it breaks into the sunlight, and then we're in a whole new ballgame. Okay, my friends, in order for you to understand what those little flickery things I'm going to show you are, first of all, you have to understand, where are we on the Earth? Where are they in the atmosphere? Well, we're on the Earth, obviously, and there's the edge of the Earth, and here is all of the denser gases. All right, there's a bump here and a bump over here, which is part of the magnetic field structure. My proposal is that we squirt this heat back into space with a laser array that just keeps squirting like this, squirting it right out. If we could do that, there's a chance we could reverse things. And when I say squirt it out, what do I mean? I mean having this laser just below the zone where they say there's nothing. Well, there is something. It's this. You just don't see it. It's all over the place. And then when you concuss it, it drags it out. And that's the way they see it on the tether. That tether is a wire that's just like this wide. That's 12 miles long. It's showing a signature of a mile around, because the white particles, the only thing that glows here is the white ones. Now, these are showing up because they're in the dark looking into the light, and they see those lighting up. When they get into the light, it will change dramatically. But in the meantime, these have to be forward of the space shuttle. They didn't hit these yet. They're coming through them. Now let's listen to this again, the Nakun. And it's just the video that they did and their correspondence back to ground control from Major Tom. Here goes. Now don't forget, they're in the dark, heading into the lights.
Again, just moving into sunrise.
See? They're coming towards the...
81 nautical miles now from Columbia.
All right, you see these little particles? That's what they're talking about. Are those UFOs? Well, actually, no. That's what happens to anything that has mass in space. It gets completely surrounded. That wire has mass. It's completely surrounded on the ends around it. These are little tiny black holes, basically. There's some mass in there, whatever it is, I don't know. It's probably very small. It doesn't have to be huge, because this, we know, is only like this wide. So this could be that wide too. It could be a little chunk of who knows what floating around, but they are mass in the center, and all that white wants to be on top of that mass. So that's what you see. All right, I have nobody to ask questions about this, but what I'm seeing, maybe yes, maybe no, is the sun is somewhere over here and cooking these particles that are in space that we can't see because we're in the darkness. But these are out where the light is, and the light is hitting the tether. This, it could be the moon. That's what I'm seeing here. Could be not. Let's play this and keep our eye on this and keep our eye on the particles. We're going to see a bunch of them pulsate. Why would they pulsate? And why is there a black dot in the center of them? And why do they look like they're gobbling? Think about all these things. The details are, the devil is in the details, and it could well be. All right, here goes. All right, the particles are all floating around. Now, he's going to be talking about the distance he is from the tether. And I believe it started out 77 nautical miles, something like that, 80. So they're 80 miles away from the tether. So the tether is out there where it's getting hit by the sun's rays. We're coming now, and we're going to be getting hit by the sun rays as well. All right? And that's why this thing is just overcharged. It's a mile wide. It started out 5 millimeters.
Again, just moving into sunrise.
Just moving into sunrise.
81 nautical miles now from
81 from this, and they're just moving into sunrise. Now, well, what does that mean? They're moving into a ray, just a complete shower of electrons, because that's what's coming off of the sun. So they're moving out into that. And at that point, they start seeing these things really pulsating, doing all kinds of crazy things. And this, I'm going to have to slow down to 25% speed to get an idea of what they're doing. This is real time. Okay, I step back just a minute so we can be sure we're seeing what we're seeing. The particles of the sunlight are coming in here and illuminating all those things because they are in the darkness. We're in the darkness. And we're looking out, and then they're just illuminated just like that is. Now, again, I think that's the moon. I would have to... Again, I have nobody to talk to and ask a question about that. Okay, my friends, somebody asked in the last video, why didn't the satellite start glowing like the tether? That's the satellite right there. It's attached to the tether. This is 12 miles long. This is approximately a mile wide. When it started out, like just smaller than your finger. And they say, wow, how come it's so huge? And that's the satellite right there. And we can see these things swimming behind there, and they comment on them. And he says, oh, they're sort of particles just going with us. No, they're behind the tether, which is between 70 and 100 nautical miles away as they're passing it, looking at it. And the only reason they can see everything so clearly is they're coming from behind the Earth and seeing it in the darkness of space. As they enter the lightness of space, with being washed out with the sun, they lose everything. They're being blinded by the light. All right, now the best thing to do is just to look at this. This is the NASA footage, and here it is. That's the tether, 12 miles long. Now, you see that? That appeared to go in front of that. But there's other ones that go behind. You see that went behind.
The satellite.
The satellite is right
Again,
there,
just
or
moving
there,
into
maybe
sunrise.
one or the other. I believe it's right there.
81 nautical miles now from Columbia.
You see that went behind. Now, here's something I want you to start to think about as you're watching this. The Earth is down here. Gravity says you go to the Earth if you have any weight to you. But, you know, meteorites and all that, they come down. We're seeing things going this way. Some of them are going up, they're doing all this, and all kinds of things going on. These particles, some are big, some are small, some are tiny, some are black, some are white, some of them spin them. Pay attention to the details, okay? Let's go back here and watch. And watch like these little dipoles. There's a lot of dipoles, there's a lot of activity.
This view showing
See, he can't see the satellite, so he's not talking. And at a certain
the
point,
satellite.
the satellite is either
Again,
here or
just
there.
moving into sunrise.
This is when they get washed out as soon as they hit sunrise.
81 nautical miles now from Columbia.
See, that went behind. Some of them are going up. Why? Some of them going down, some are going sideways, some of them going fast, slow. Some of them don't have any center to them. Some of them had a core in the center. Some of them are fuzzy looking. Some of them are real brilliant looking. Big, small, just stuck in one place or another. Small and bright, big and fluffy. This thing is almost 100 miles away, 80 miles, nautical miles away. So anything behind it is at least 80 nautical miles away.
Franklin, we see a long line,
That went
a
behind.
couple of star-like things, and a lot of things swimming in the foreground. Can you describe what you're seeing?
Well, the long line is a tether, and there's a little bit of debris that kind of flies with us.
All right, that's just not true. There is, yes, absolutely there is debris that flies with them. John Glenn saw it. They all see it. They know that that's there because there's particles everywhere. So, and they sort of, I imagine Glenn said that they would swirl all around them, and they were, but he came into them. They weren't ahead. They came into him. So in other words, he wasn't trailing them with him. He was coming into them. And the same with this. They're coming into that stuff. Now, this is not trailing with them. There are some, but not all of them, and certainly not the ones that are 80 miles away.
And it's illuminated by the sun at such low angles. So there's a lot of stray light, and it's getting washed out quickly, but
See, that's what happened. It gets washed out as soon as they come from behind the Earth into the sunlight, and but before that, they're looking out like seeing dust in a barn door. You know, in a barn, slats in a barn. You see the dust floating around. That's what they're seeing here. But as soon as they get into the light, they lose that. So he says it's getting washed out quickly.
Just trying to do a quick, good job here adjusting the cameras.
You see, that one went behind.
In that description by the crew, this
That
is
went
the
behind.
tether in the satellite, but the satellite with approximately 12 miles of tether still attached to it. Columbia.
12 miles of tether. 12 miles of tether. That means this signature is approximately a mile wide-ish, something like that, and the satellite is also grabbing tons of energy surrounding it. Now, the reason this burnt up is because they were conducting. They were sucking up energy to see how much energy they could get out of this, and they did get to 3,500 volts. And I think like about a half an amp, something like that, because you can only put so much energy through this tiny little wire, and they were harvesting. You can see what they were going to harvest. If they had a huge wire, it would have been a ton of conduction. But what happened was it just snapped because it was just too much conduction. They say it was a flaw. It wasn't a flaw. It was just too much conduction. It couldn't handle the amount of energy that was going to be flowing. Just couldn't handle it. All right, and they mentioned, you know, this thing is a lot wider than we had expected. Well, obviously, it's just started a wire like this, and now you got a mile wide. Why? It's because all the white particles attracting.
Yeah, and the satellite now just passing over the west coast of northern Africa. The two spacecraft now 90 nautical miles apart.
We're taking the pictures 90 miles away.
Controllers for the satellite did have communications with it during the close pass between Columbia and the satellite.
Columbia, Houston, that's a much better view, a lot more contrast visible. And how wide does that tether appear to be? It seems to resemble a much wider strand than we'd expect. Can you describe which way the satellite is visible on that strand?
He doesn't know. He never responds. They don't know. All they know is you just got one big band of whiteness. This goes on for another couple of minutes, another minute or so, and not a word back from them about it, because they don't know. It's just nothing but one big ball of glowing mass that's absorbing all of this white energy. He never comments again because they just don't know. I would say, you know, they're trying to home in one way or the other. It's going to be one or the other. It doesn't matter. Everything is swarmed around, so you really can't tell. They just don't know.
Satellite now 100 nautical miles.
It's completely unzoomed, and you see the full extent of the tether.
Yeah, it's the full extent of the tether, but they don't know where the satellite is. It's going to be one end or the other.
That was just a focus, but I can't get better than that.
Okay, Claude. Thank you.
Go to zoom in now.
That was it. All right, this is...
Houston, Columbia, I was using both the 20 power binoculars and the 400 millimeter Nikon lens under the body bag, and it only just disappeared in the glare of the sun about 30 seconds ago. The tether looked completely straight. I did not see any bright spots along the tether except at the very bottom, where there was a bright spot which was unresolvable for me.
All right, I don't think they know which end was where the satellite was. Here's what they're showing back here. And he asked them, which end is the satellite? And they never responded, ever. So I don't think they knew. This just goes on and on here until he finally kicks in and starts over again. But originally the question was, what do you...
Houston, Columbia.
See, finally.
Using
Line,
See,
a couple of star-like things, and a lot of things swimming in the foreground. Can you describe what you're seeing?
Well, the long line is a tether, and there's a little bit of debris that kind of flies with us, and it's illuminated by the sun at such low angle. So there's a lot of stray light, and it's getting washed out quickly. But Claude is trying to do a quick, good job here adjusting the cameras.
Copy that.
I can tell you, I don't think they know if the satellite is here or on the other end, because you really can't tell. It's just completely encased in white. And he asks them, and they don't know, because he never responded. Here it is right there, which end? Now, that's kind of bright. That's kind of bright too. But that's what you would expect. It's a complete encapsulation a mile wide. The satellite's just a little tiny thing too. The wire is just a little tiny thing. Why is this so wide? And they can't explain that, and they ask, I wonder why.
Houston, Columbia, I was using both the 20 power binoculars and the 400 millimeter Nikon lens under the body bag, and it only just disappeared in the glare of the sun about 30 seconds ago.
All right, so he goes on to explain. It was perfectly straight. We just saw it was, yes. Which end? He says there's a bright spot he couldn't resolve. Well, I would think that more than likely that was the pinch point where the electricity was being absorbed, because they were harvesting a little bit of electricity to see how much they could get, and then it just burnt up.